Citizen here, and today we're going to look at a couple of the old buildings redone. This video is going to be looking at the library and also the blacksmith. As you may have heard, we're going back to more vanilla-like items, and so we also need to change the way the library works. XP and enchantment tables are still going to be disabled, but instead you're going to get to work with this library. So like the store, you've got this librarian NPC that you can interact with, and the way it works is you feed him an item that you want to enchant and beakers, and depending on how many beakers you give him, you get more chances for more enchants or better enchants. So the way this works is you just kind of put the item that you want in here, and I've currently got it set to each enchant is worth 10 beakers. So for every 10 beakers you put into the library, it's going to give you another chance to get a different enchantment. So I'm going to try to enchant this diamond pickaxe, and it's going to take at least 10. Now there is a chance that you won't get anything, and some different types of armor have, or different types of enchants have are more rare than others. So depending on what kind of enchant it is, some of the enchants are harder to get than others, which is different from vanilla Minecraft. Well, the numbers are going to be different than vanilla Minecraft. So things like fortune are going to be a lot harder to get in comparison to something like efficiency, and protection will be one of the harder ones to get. So we'll see. Now, another thing the library does is it only gives level 1 enchantments. If you want level 2 enchantments, you got to combine them and use them and get that in the blacksmith, and I'll show you that in a minute. So when the item is finished, it's going to go into a mail package just like it did before. So now let's see, it gave us efficiency this time, and it'll also only try for enchants that aren't already on there. So if I put this back in and I add another 10 beakers, it's not going to try for efficiency again. It'll try for something else, and we're likely to get it because most of the tool enchantments are pretty easy to get in comparison to some of the weapon enchantments. They're still not going to be nearly as hard to get as the catalysts were in Phase 5, so that should be pretty easy. Now the timeout is currently set to 30 seconds. I was thinking about making the timeout like longer depending on how many beakers you added, but that felt just kind of unnecessary. You've already paid the beaker. You've already gone and got the beakers. It didn't seem that adding another 30 seconds to it would take a whole long time. So let's see what we got this time. Unbreaking. Yay! Okay. And let's see. So that's that. I'll show you that if you put in a lot more beakers, it's going to, for every 10 of these, it's going to try enchanting it another time. So this should give us quite a bit of enchantment, or it'll give us multiple enchantments, hopefully, on that sword there. And we'll wait the 30 seconds. I was trying to do some chest armor earlier, and some armor, but the armor currently, I think the chances for protection is a little bit too low, and so it was getting failures too often. So I'm gonna have to change that probably. But all the enchants are available. There isn't any banned enchantments. They're all accessible. So let's see. Yeah, ooh, look at that. So unbreaking, sharpness, knockback, looting, and fire aspect, because we stuck a lot of beakers in there. So that's the library. I'm currently debating about whether or not the library needs upgrades, and if the upgrades should unlock certain enchantments, or if the enchantments should have higher levels or better chances of occurring when you unlock higher levels of the library. So I'd like to get your guys' feedback on that and let me know what you think. So off to the blacksmith. Now the blacksmith it's going to be pretty familiar. We still have the smelting, and we also have the forge. The smelting is going to work slightly differently than before. It's mostly the same. The only difference is that we've now got this this GUI to allow us to place things into the smelter. But the bigger change is that it can only really smelt one thing at a time, and so you may want to invest in multiple blacksmiths if you need to smelt more things. So I'm going to smelt 64 gold, and it's going to bring up a timer. So now the timer is 2 hours, 50 minutes, and 37 seconds. Now the time it takes for the ore to smelt is based off of the number of ores that you provided. So if you just provided one, it would only take a couple of minutes. And I probably should have done that so I could have showed you what it looks like when it finishes. But anyway, the gold, it smelts it at a ratio of like 1.25. So for every one ore you add, it gives you like 1.25 gold ingots back. And it also is going to give you beakers and hammers depending on whether or not you add gold or iron ore respectively. So this is another way to get hammers, is to just provide ore to the blacksmith. So as you advance the technology, it'll get a little easier to get more and more hammers and beakers. So here's the forge. So what I'm going to do with the forge to demonstrate the forge is I'm going to get a bunch of swords, and I'm going to use a cheat command to give them all sharpness 1. Now, this is going to feel really similar to Beta Phase 4 enchanting, but it's not quite the same. And I don't want you guys to get confused when it doesn't work exactly the same. So I'm going to try to explain it here. Basically, the way it works is it searches for 2 common enchantments, and then it'll try to merge those 2 common enchantments. And if it fails, it's going to you're going to lose both of the items, and you're going to get half the amount of hammers it cost back, because it'll cost hammers to enchant 2 items. So the common enchantments, they have to be the same level. So this is different from Beta Phase 4, where they could be different levels, and it was actually really advantageous to use a low-level item with a high-level item, or an item with lots of different things on it, because it would decrease the chance of it breaking. Now the chances of it breaking is always the same, no matter how many different enchantments you have on it. But so that makes it a little bit simpler. But it's also going to be slightly more expensive, because you're going to have to actually have the same level. So if you want a sharpness 4, you're going to need 2 sharpness 3s. You can't combine a sharpness 3 and a sharpness 1 to get a sharpness 4. It doesn't work like that. So this also has a hammer cost, and the hammer cost is based on the level of the highest level enchantment that is on the item. So for right now, because there's no items in there, it says that the hammer cost is unknown. But when I go ahead and add some items, actually, let me get some hammers first. When I add the items, it's going to show me, okay, now that requires 5 hammers. So this is the first level enchantment, so it's actually pretty cheap. So we're just going to add some hammers in there, and it only takes about 30 seconds. It doesn't take a whole long time to forge your items. I debated about making this long, but I don't really see a need to, because you already paid for all of the stuff. It's pretty expensive, so it doesn't really need a really long timer. And again, nobody can use the forge while it's currently working. So there's that. Okay, so it gives us a package in the mail. This pattern should start feeling pretty familiar. And okay, so it worked, and it gave us a sharpness 2. And let's say our forge is successful, so I'm going to collect that item, and now we have a sharpness 2. So I'm going to go ahead and make this other sword here a sharpness 2 by cheating rather than waiting for it, because it's pretty easy to get a sharpness 2. And we're going to go ahead and try to enchant this as well. And that would cost us 7 hammers this time. So remember, when it fails, it's going to break both items, and it's going to give you half the amount of hammers course, that cost to forge it. And the chances of it breaking increase with every level. It's not a static for each level. Every level is going to get more and more difficult. I think the most harsh is 30% chance of success. So towards the end, it gets pretty rough. So, and of course, the 10 is the maximum enchant level that you can achieve. So it looks like we've got sharpness 3. So I'm going to go ahead and cheat again and make another sharpness 3. So I'm kind of like cutting our time in half. See, I can't mess with this guy while he's smelting. So you very well may need multiple blacksmiths for the smelting if you want to take full advantage of that. So, sharpness 4, yay. Okay, let's try sharpness 4. If this doesn't fail, I'll probably just make a sharpness 8 or something and try to make a sharpness 9. Because I don't want to waste too much time sitting here forging. So even the 30 seconds starts to feel a little bit, maybe it's too long. But then again, you know, it might not be that big a deal. After you've spent all that time getting a sharpness 7 or whatever, and you want it to get to sharpness 8, the 30 seconds might be just a kind of a 5. So another thing I might need to do, I actually might need to adjust these enchants levels if it's the hammer costs and the failure rates if this seems a little too easy. So yeah, the anticipation in the 30 seconds might help quite a bit. So other small little things. I actually want to make these guys like look at you without having to hit them. They should just kind of follow you around. Alright, let's see what we got. Oh, it was successful. Oh, this is a sharpness 6. Yeah, it looks like I might need to make this a bit harder. Because we don't want people running around with really OP over-enchanted gear right at the start. Should at least take you some time. Another thing that we could do is we could make a maximum enchant level based off of the blacksmith level as well, if we want to make a blacksmith that people leveled up. I'm not exactly sure that I want all the buildings to level up, but it's pretty trivial to do if we wanted to do that. So let's see, are we feeling lucky today? So yeah, looks like we're getting pretty lucky. 7. Okay, let's do sharpness 7. This is obviously way too easy. I'm going to have to make this more difficult. I need more hammers. I'll probably also have to make it more expensive in hammers as well, because I imagine this is still a little cheap. But I would really like to know what you guys think. If this is obviously too easy to enchant, but if the hammers need to be increased by maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 times more expensive, I'd like to hear you guys' feedback on that. This is one of those things that it should take a little while. It should take some build up to get a pretty powerful weapon. Not too long. Jesus, look at that. Sharpness 8. Okay. Well, anyway. So that's obviously too easy because it's not failing. But I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys think. And I'll be back with another video tomorrow or the next day. Later.